Okay, today we're going to be solving inequalities, one-step inequalities using multiplication and division. Okay. We've already done inequalities using addition and subtraction. Now we're going to try multiplication and division. Pretty much straightforward. There's one little thing that changes, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, first one here. X divided by 2 is less than 6. Well, if we think, let's say we had an equation here, so this was an equal sign. Well, we want to get x by itself. Okay, so we're going to have to multiply each side by 2. Well, it's going to kind of be the same concept here. We saw properties of equality held for inequalities with addition and subtraction. Well, let's see if they hold for multiplication. Okay, so, I don't know. Let's multiply each side by 2. I'm going to say x is less than 12. Okay, not too bad. Well, now let's see if this holds true. Well, what number do I know is less than 12? Well, I know for sure, 4 is less than 12. Okay, that's true. Well, now let's see if 4 is also true up here. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Is 2 less than 6? Yeah. Okay. So it seems like the properties of equality, multiplication, work for inequalities. This proof is not going to win you any Nobel Prize, but it's something good to keep in mind. Okay. Try other numbers too, like 0, negative numbers. Okay, now let's get to this one. So again, if this were an equality, we would divide by 3. So let's see what happens. Divide each side by 3. So x is greater than or equal to 10. Okay. Well, let's pick an x value that we know makes this true. Well, I know 12 is greater than 10. So that makes that true. 3 times 12 is 36. Is 36 greater than 30? Yeah. So that makes that true. So it looks like that works too. Yes. Okay. Now let's get to our last buddy here. X divided by negative 3 is greater than 15. Well, let's multiply each side by negative 3. Like we would do for an equality. Notice something that's different. Here, this was positive. That was positive. And now it's negative. Let's just see. So this was x. And then we have 15 times negative 3 is negative 45. And then we have a greater. Well, let's again test to see if this holds true. Well, what number do we know is greater than negative 45? Well, 0 is greater than negative 45. So that's true. Well, let's go up here though. 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. Is 0 greater than 15? Well, no. That's false. So now we've hit a problem. These two are good to go, but when I multiply by a negative number, all of a sudden my inequality sign doesn't work. Okay. Well, I can't change this. That's the problem that they gave to us. But let's say I were to change this guy. So let's say I flip that sign around. Okay. Well, now I want to pick a number that's less than negative 45. I don't know, let's do negative 48. That one's true. Negative 48 is less than negative 45. Well, now let's come up here. Negative 48 divided by negative 3. 8, 9, 10, 12 is going to give us what? 16. Positive. So is 16 greater than 15? That's true. So if we flip the sign, then we ran into the same case we had here, where it was true for both of these after we did some dividing or multiplying or whatever it was. So that's something to keep in mind. Whenever we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, we have to flip the sign of our inequality. Write that down in your notes. Whenever you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number, we have to flip the sign. Okay? And that's, like I said, that number that we're dividing or multiplying by has to be negative. If this guy were negative, the 15, well, we kind of run into this case here. If this were negative, it's not going to change anything. It matters on what we're dividing or multiplying by. Okay. So let's try 2 more. First try them by yourself, and then we'll come together and talk about it. And for these last 2, how about you graph them too? Okay. There. Okay, so try those by yourself. Welcome back. Okay, for the first one, to get x by itself, let's divide by 4. So x, negative 12 divided by 4, is negative 3. And if we remember from before, we said, well, if you're sitting there, Mr. Pons, got to flip the sign. Well, be careful. Remember we said we had to divide or multiply by a negative number. This 4 is positive, so the sign's going to stay the same. And if you're sitting there, you're like, I don't believe you, you're wrong. We'll just do another number. What number do we know is less than negative 3? Well, negative 4 is less than negative 3. Let's put it up here. What's 4 times negative 4? Negative 16. That's less than negative 12. So remember, the number you divide or multiply by, that has to be negative. So let's graph. Negative 3. We're looking for the x values that are less than negative 3. Well, we don't have the equal to sign, so we have an open circle. And I want all my x values that are less than negative 3. Well, what numbers are less than negative 3? Negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. So I'm going to want everything that's over there. Okay? Mr. Pons, what exactly does the graph mean? Oh, great question. We're saying that any x value that's less than negative 3 will make this inequality true. Try it out. Okay, now for the next one. X divided by negative 3 is greater than or equal to 12. Well, we have to multiply each side by negative 3. So I have x. 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. And remember, we multiplied by a negative, so we have to flip that sign. Let's graph this one out. So I'm saying x has to be less than or equal to negative 36. Well, now I have the equal to sign, so I have a shaded, because negative 36 could be included. And I'm looking for the values that are less than that. So again, I'm going towards these numbers here. Some students try to remember, well, if this thing is going that way, we have an arrow. No, don't waste your time. Just use some logic. You're looking for the numbers that are less than negative 36. These are the numbers that are less than negative 36. Those are the ones we want. These are the numbers you're looking for. Okay, so again, you should be asking yourself, well, what does this mean? Well, all this is saying is that if you take any x that's less than or equal to negative 36, this inequality will hold true. Hopefully this helped. And don't forget, when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip that sign.